I will now call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. here at Macadavic Place, St. George. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 2023 regular council meeting for the Eastern Charlotte Council. This is our fourth official council meeting for Eastern Charlotte. I welcome all those that are attending here tonight and those that are watching us on TV, on your cell phone, or on your computer. I wish to welcome CHCO here tonight, Florence Mitchell, and of course, the star, Vicki Hogarth. In attendance tonight, we have Chris McKinnon, our assistant clerk, our CEO, Jason Gaudette, and I think that's about it. Kathy's not here tonight, no. So the first item on the agenda tonight is the adoption of the agenda, and I'll ask council for a motion for that. Okay. You'd like to add, and what would you like to add, Deputy Mayor?
We'll just call it Exit 56.
And that goes under new business?
Yep, please.
We have a motion to add to the agenda night, Exit 56. Would there be a seconder for that? We got all kinds of them here. I think, Councilor Tidd, I saw your hand first. Question or comment on that motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Now, number 3, ladies and gentlemen, on the agenda tonight is a special presentation. Tonight, we want to acknowledge students from the Blacks Harbor School. Since the beginning of the 2023, the Blacks Harbor School students from grades 3 to 5 have worked on their Canadian Heritage Fair projects. On March the 22nd, Blacks Harbor School hosted an open house to showcase all of the projects. From there, three grade 5 students were chosen to attend the Regional Heritage Fair. On May the 4th, Emily Melanson, Chloe Jonkus, and Daniel Hatt attended the Regional Heritage Fair at UNB St. John, along with their teacher, Miss Jolene Amar. The 3 grade 5 students competed against 5 other grade 5 students from Hampton Education Center, the St. John Education Center, and the St. Stephen Education Center. And here are the results from all those areas. The results are: 3rd place, Daniel Hatt for his project on Bombardier snowmobiles from the Blacks Harbor. You can applaud, folks. Yeah. 2nd place was Chloe Jonkus from her project on Connors Brothers. 1st place, Emily Melanson for her project on Girl Guides. Emily, a side note, Emily also brought home 3 extra awards, and right over to my right, if the camera's picking them up now, are the extra awards that Emily actually gathered from that competition: the Young Citizens Award, the L Award, and the National Archives Award. And that's awesome. So from all those schools, the top 3 prizes all were from Blacks Harbor. What a wonderful presentation from Blacks Harbor. Big round of applause for you guys. I'm gonna ask Emily, Chloe, and Daniel to come up front if they could, just for a quick second. I know they're a little camera shy. I tell you something, I'm very honored to be your presence. You guys have done an awesome job. Awesome. Very good. And it's a special for me because actually I have a granddaughter the same age as these 3, and so it means a lot to. I know what you guys. I know how the parents make it today too. One of our parents is right over here, Councilor Hatt. We got parents down the back, and parents over here. So we're all very proud of you tonight. So I want to make a presentation to you 3. So this is from Eastern Charlotte. In recognition of your achievement, the municipality of Eastern Charlotte honors all 3 of you for winning 2nd place, 1st place, and 3rd place at the Regional Heritage Fair, representing grade 5 students from the St. Stephen Education Center for your presentation on Connors Brothers, one for the presentation of Girl Guides, that's Emily, And Dan the Hat from Bombardier Snowmobile. Congratulations. Here we go. Congratulations. Thank you guys very much. Congratulations again. We're all good about it. Okay, number 4 is conflict of interest disclosure. Anybody who wants to declare a conflict of interest may do so now. If not, we move on to adoption of minutes of the previous council meetings. And we have 5A, the April 18th, 2023 closed-door meeting of council. I'll look for a motion from the floor. Councilor Lee?
I move to approve the minutes for the meeting of April the 18th, 2023. Closed meeting of council is circulated to the members of council.
We have a motion from Councilor Lee. Is there a seconder? We'll get Councilor Dadarakis at the very end. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. 5B is April 19th, regular meeting of council. I'll look for a motion from the floor.
I move to approve the minutes for the meeting of April 19th, 2023, regular meeting of council as circulated to the members of council.
Councilor Hatt made the motion. We need a seconder for that. Councilor Lee? Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. April 25th meeting, closed meeting of council. We'll look for a motion from the floor. Councilor Hatt made that motion, seconded by, was it you, Councilor? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Thompson, sorry.
I move to approve the minutes for April 2023, closed door council.
And we have a motion on the floor, seconded by Councilor Tidd. And all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. April 26th, 2023, we need a motion from the floor for that. Deputy Mayor.
I move to approve the minutes of the April 26, 2023 closed meeting of council as circulated to members of council.
Great, Deputy Mayor has made that motion, seconded by Okay. Question or comment? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. May 9th meeting. We had lots of meetings this past month. I look for a motion for the floor. Councilor McKay?
I move to approve the minutes of the meeting of May 9th, 2023, closed meeting of council as circulated to members of the council.
Great, Councilor McKay has made that motion, and Councilor Hatt has seconded that. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Okay. Business arising out of the minutes, there are none tonight. 7 is delegations. And tonight we have community meals. Somebody from community meals here tonight? There we go. Think I know this person.
Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Faith Avery, 12 Carlton Street.
Thank you, Faith.
12 Carlton Street, St. George. I haven't met most of you guys yet, but I'm sure you're going to hear from me at some point. I want to talk tonight about community meals. We've had community meals going on in our community for about 3 weeks now. In that 3 weeks, we have served over 200 people. Well over, I guess we served 150 the first week, 153 the second. Last night was 207. So there is a need. It's not just for people that are looking for a meal. It's companionship. It's people getting out, getting a chance to talk to people. It's great to see that. It's something our community needs. We started out by mirroring off of St. Stephen's. And from there, Neighborhood Works came down. They started us off, showing us the first way of doing it, and we've picked it up from there. There's a lot of things we still need. We still need to buy a lot of equipment yet. We've borrowed most of it from Neighborhood Works. So we are still actively fundraising. We're very busy fundraising. We have raised quite a bit of money just on ticket sales alone, as well as coming here for the market and selling candles and food. We sell 1 cake a week and 5 cakes, so that's money coming in. Increased beyond our imagination because we never thought it would be that many people that would come into our doors. A lot of takeout is solely seniors and disability. So if they can't get out, they call us and we go to them. And that's within the old St. George limits. Now, we did have people coming from Blacks doing deliveries for us down Blacks. So it is going to all the communities. And it's wonderful seeing these people. And a lot of people are giving donations. So it's helping us out a lot there. So there's many ways that you can help us out with this. Our objective is to give a free meal to people in need of companionship and meals. So we serve a meal for whoever attends and also those that call. We hope to have some collaborative suppers with volunteers and sponsors, meaning we have some sponsors that are sponsoring the week, but they're coming in and they're doing the event, and we're not. Other weeks, we do the event, they just sponsor it with the money-wise only. We ask $150. It's got a little bigger than we thought it was going to get. So it's hard to feed 200 people on $150. But we are making it work because we're getting donations and people are stepping forward. So we are going to different avenues to make money. We're not just sitting back waiting for it. Different ways that you can sponsor this is donate $150 towards a meal, donate part of the cost for a meal. So, some people just donate a certain amount, $20, $30. They come in with a bag of potatoes, something like that, which is all very much wanted. We do offer receipts to them for income tax purposes. And we want everybody to know that we are not affiliated with any religious or political party. Everybody is welcome, and we would love to see you come. I think basically that's everything. And I just wanted to point out that we know that 17.5% of all overall poverty rate in Charlotte County. 1 in 4 children, 0 to 14, live in poverty. 18.3% of women, 16.7% of men live below the poverty line, and 1 in 9 seniors. So we're trying to make this all inclusive and to get our communities coming together, and because we're all one big one now. So we'll be coming to you guys every once in a while. Might be something in kind that we're going to need or something. So just wanted to let you know that's out there and let everybody know to please come because we really believe in this. And I guess that's everything.
Thank you very much, Faith. Before you leave, I'm going to turn this over to council at this point and see if they have any questions or comments. Councilor McKay, you're first.
Do you guys accept like food donations?
We
or-
do. We accept all donations except for already made dishes.
Right.
Like the ingredients to make it, we accept.
Okay, so you like potatoes and
Potatoes,
stuff like that?
even spices, margarine, anything like that.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
Any other questions, council? Councilor Hatt?
So you guys have a Facebook page up too for people to be able to follow?
Yes, it's on the hub.
Okay.
And we post everything on there. Follow me on Facebook. I post everything back over onto my page on there.
Councilor Delegations.
Sorry, Faith, how many meals were served last night? Over 200?
207
Wow, that's amazing.
in an hour.
Okay.
So
It reflects that there really is, in fact, a need in the
there
community.
is a need, and it's wonderful. We have a lot of great volunteers that are coming in, and we have a list of people that want to volunteer.
I just have a question about the stats. So when you say like 1 in 4 children live in poverty and 1 in 9 seniors live below the poverty line, is that in Charlotte County or is that?
Yes, that's Charlotte
Okay.
County stats, and that was from 2019. And it's probably a little bit worse now after COVID,
Yeah.
so.
Any other questions, council? Thank you very much for coming in tonight.
Okay, I hope to see you all there at some point and
Great,
and
thank you.
even helping out.
Tonight, council, our second delegation is from Frontline Security Solutions, and Mark Driscoll is here tonight.
That's so everybody can follow along. For those that know me, I tend to get a bit wordy. and sadly, I write the way I talk, a bit wordy. So I'll try to hit the highlights. But my name is Mark Driscoll, for those of you who don't already know me. And I have a security risk management company locally. I apologize, but I'm going to have to run through a bit of a litany of my past experience just to establish some credibility with the tough crowd over here to my right. I have 23 years experience in the industry. I conducted drug interdiction operations in Central America as a member of the U.S. military. I trained as a nuclear response team officer at Point Lepreau. I designed and developed the PLNGS Nuclear Security Officer Training Program according to CNSC compliance and regulations. I'm a trainer and recognized subject matter expert in nuclear security operations and response capabilities. I designed and developed nuclear security operating procedures. I was a security project leader for all search, surveillance, intrusion detection, and alarm response upgrade projects for PLNGS. I own and manage a security risk management company that provides security consulting services for corporate, industrial, and nuclear markets. I'm currently contracted to design area security programs for small modular nuclear reactor companies here in Canada and soon in the United States as well. So, what Frontline Security Consulting Services can provide to community leaders? What I'm looking for is the ability to conduct a vulnerability assessment and follow up gap analyses in the area to determine risk factors on the community and identified critical infrastructures. I want to provide council with accurate information regarding area crime reports and trends. I want to work with council to establish a cost-effective strategic plan that enables them to make informed decisions to develop and implement physical and technology-based security recommendations. Now that does mean cameras and access control systems, personnel and vehicle barrier systems, alarm and video management systems complete with innate smart tech analytics and ID software, and supplemental security officer patrols. Designing security officer training programs that include the specific legal authorities under which they may operate. Establishing MOUs or memorandums of understanding, complete with clear client community expectations with all applicable responding law enforcement agencies. Establishing lines of communication with available external support services. I could be a dedicated resource to oversee the analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation of any community safety and security solutions enacted by council leadership. And a shout out to Cleveland Levitt and Penfield, who posted something that caught my wife's eye and she passed it on to me. Crime prevention strategies like target hardening, target removal, access control, surveillance, and environmental design. All right, so that's the written stuff, and I apologize. It takes me a minute to get warmed up. Before I really get going, I want to shout out, so we're absolutely clear. For those of us as old as I am or older, names like Gene Hoffman, Dave Penny, John Nagy, those names mean something to our communities. And just about everybody in here has probably had a run-in with them at one time or another, hopefully on the good side. And then today we've got RCMP officers like Jeff Davidson and Dan Hine, Chuck Gagne, and Chris Henderson. Who am I leaving out? I apologize if I am. So the only reason I say it this way, or I'm leading with this, is so that the individual officers who I know personally, and most of us probably do, don't feel like this is a personal attack on them. Because everybody in this room has the same feeling when it comes to what needs to be done in our community. And I promise you, they feel the same way. And on an individual level, if any one of us needed anything at any time, they'd probably let you call them personally. And they would sympathize and they would offer advice. But the issues that we're having with community policing in our areas, in all of our areas, aren't at the individual level. They're at the agency level. They're at the policy level. I had a look at the provincial contract that we have with the RCMP because it was readily available. I would really be interested in seeing what the regional or local contract with our RCMP is, because I think a lot of what the push-pull that we're feeling as a community comes down to we're the client. You know, we at one time, I'm sure, had clear expectations on what we expected out of our policing agencies. You know, at one time we had local police. We had municipal police, we had highway patrol, and somebody swept in and said, no, 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 don't worry about all those expenses, all that training, all that staff. We can take care of everything. And maybe that worked at that time. Maybe they could. But I think if you spoke with representatives from the RCMP right now and they talked about the difficulties that they're facing with recruiting and money, they're going to say, well, we're having personnel issues, and you know we're having recruiting issues, and that's fine and that's understandable, because I think that everybody that runs a business right now is going through those exact same problems. They're having trouble finding people that either want to do the job or are qualified to do the job. So I do empathize with them in that respect, but in another respect, I'm the client. We're the client as a community. You know, we have basic expectations of what constitutes safety and security in our communities. And we're all feeling it, especially you. Because when the system breaks down at any level, whether it's the works department, the water department, the fire department, or our policing agencies, they're coming to you. And I empathize with you at having to make a decision, because there's only so many decisions to be made. What I'm recommending is giving you a resource. Now look, if the town, for whatever reason, was struggling with turning the lights on, and you desperately needed an electrician, if I was an electrician, I'd be the first one to knock on your door and say, hey, I'm an electrician, I'm happy to help. If you needed a plumber, Wayne, I would be the first one to step up and say, I'm a plumber, I can help. But in this case, what we need is at least someone who is familiar enough in this area to be able to offer you informed decisions on whatever you want to do, whether it's electronic surveillance, if it's cameras or a video management system, or it's access control at critical infrastructures, or it's if you wanted supplemental security that's patrolling the rural areas and the town areas. I get that too. There's a lot of solutions that are on the table. I don't think there's any one solution that's going to fit. And the only way to really determine what solutions you have at your disposal is to have someone at your disposal who is quite literally a subject matter expert in area security. I guess what I'm providing is a dedicated resource for you. Someone who can do the analysis, figure out the hot spots, figure out the areas that are being hit. I know we get trend reports, and I looked at the J Division quarterly reports as well. You know, some of the numbers aren't surprising. Some of the numbers are. I think there's not one of us in this room that couldn't walk you to any 3 places in our area that are manufacturing or selling drugs. And there's some, at some points at night, you literally have to step over them in the streets. So I don't think they're that difficult to find, but according to the quarterly reports, there were 2. There were 2 drug incidents in the last quarter. So, you know, I understand resources are tough. So what can we do as a community Because I know other people have talked about, well, let's go to the province with this, or, you know, maybe someone's public safety is working on a plan, or the province is working on a plan, and that's all fine. But regionally right now, we don't have a collective approach. And in the time that it's going to take for the powers that be to get together and come up with a plan that works for everyone in the region, there is still an obligation from community leadership to see that our community is safe. Claudette had an incident at her store not too long ago. Yeah, and Terry Spear had an incident at his place, and Jeremy Smith had an incident at his place, and the list goes on. And I'm sure we all know 10 or 12 people each that have had residential issues. And the point has gotten to, what happens when somebody breaks in? Well, we call 911, we call the authorities. But what happens when they don't come, or if they come tomorrow? And that happens over and over again. And then the person that had the bad experience talks to their neighbor, and their neighbor talks to their neighbor. Well, at that point, everybody sort of feels the same way. And what's going to happen if we don't take the initiative and at least start the process for solving the problem? People, out of desperation, feel like they have to take matters into their own hands. And then we get a macadam, or we get a Grand Manan, and it only gets worse. So I'm not saying there's any one solution. I'm saying that I can be a dedicated resource for you to do an analysis, to figure out what your options are, and to provide informed information to you so that you can follow a strategic plan versus a reactive approach, which is always the instinct. You know, the council, much like any parent, when someone comes up to you and says, I have a problem, your reaction is to help. You want to help, and we're in a community of people that want to help. There's no question about that. We just heard an example of it before I stepped up. So having the tools to be able to help really is the key. And knowing which direction is the direction that you should go, well, that's up to you. But a reactive approach of, well, I'll just guess. Maybe we'll just throw a bunch of money at it and see if that works. Well, that didn't work. Let's try something else. Well, to be honest, I've already spoken to over 12 communities in the country, a half a dozen in the province, that are already enacting some supplemental security measures in their own communities. And some has seen success, some has not. But I've gathered that OPEX, operating experience, and, you know, it's a process like anything else. And from analysis to evaluation, and that's one thing I'm good at, is the process. So you analyze the issues, the data, and then you design solutions to fix those issues. And then you develop the solutions by getting cost estimates and finding vendors. And then you, what's the next one? Implement. You roll it out and you see what works. Maybe you don't roll it out all at once. Maybe you do it in small sections. Let's see if maybe a camera in front of Claudette's place works. Or, you know, we put an access control on the critical infrastructure of the town. Whatever the case may be, I think a litany of solutions will work better than a one-size-fits-all. Beyond implementation, you get evaluation with this as well. And evaluation means you're not just rolling out a giant project. Because it's part of the process, after everything is rolled out and implemented, we get feedback. Someone like me, who coordinates with outside agencies, because let's be fair, every one of you has another job. You have families, you have lives. So the amount of time it takes, I don't know if anyone's ever called Service New Brunswick before, but, or any other really government agency. It's difficult to get through, and when you do, you're on the phone forever. If you're lucky enough to get a meeting with someone, that's more time. And then to find the right people to communicate with and actually convey your point and have them agree and then affect change at their level, all of this takes time. And to have a dedicated resource at your disposal who already knows most of the contacts and can coordinate with all of these supplemental services beyond just policing. I mean, we all know, even from the stats, 22 for St. George. Well, 22 for St. George is mental health. That's not including all the thefts and break-ins and vandalisms. And that's not including the, I can't remember what the other stat was. Drugs, 2. So we need more than just policing. We need mental health support. We need public safety support. We need government resources, provincial and federal, and we need private resources where we can. And coordinating all of those to be able to create a plan that works for the whole community. So we're not just looking after local downtown, we're looking after rural areas as well. And before I close, because again, usually somebody clicks a pen or something to say, that's enough, you've talked long enough. Four-wheelers, ATVs, UTVs, boats, cars, trucks, gas cans, motors, chainsaws, crates of lobsters, and now fire season is here as well. And those are just the people actually reporting crimes. So I get it that the limited resources that we have here aren't working. So rather than wait for them to fail altogether, let's be proactive and take an approach that we're already moving forward. So you already have tools in the toolbox when the time comes. Or even if you don't implement it now, at least you have the plan. You have the plan that should something happen, you can move forward. That's all I got. Oh, wait, questions. Do you guys have questions?
Yeah.
Sorry.
First of all, Mark, thank you very much. That's an excellent presentation, and I appreciate
Thanks, Sean,
it.
and thanks for getting me that water, too, before I started. I really appreciate that. There's no water. There's no water.
Actually, one you would like to have one?
Oh, bless your heart.
You can have it,
Thanks.
help yourself. Yeah.
No, I'm driving. I better not.
It comes out of your tax dollars. No, I'm going to go to council now. Councilor Dederack is at the very end.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, for that presentation. That was amazing. So you talked about collecting information, collecting data, and identifying where, for example, is the most, say, drug activity in the community, in an area of the community, and then patrolling those areas. So say that happens. What role would your organization do next?
So that's a great question. So I'm not offering to provide a security service. I can. I'm licensed to do it in the event that you can't find anybody else that's qualified. So security services, like security patrols. So you've got foot patrols on the main street, vehicle patrols in the area. It is a great concept and it may work if we can get the RCMP to agree to support, because they are the primary support system right now. On their own, beyond observe and report, the town and the agency is opening themselves up to massive liability. That is one other thing that I'm relatively familiar with, is operating within the legal authorities of what a security company can do. So I did sort of write up a bit on this, and I'll just reference it. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, I found it. So, designing security officer training programs that include specific legal authorities under which they may operate. Establishing memorandums of understanding complete with clear client expectations, and I read that. So, my biggest fear is a reactive approach would be, well, let's hire a security company to come in with security guards, and they'll patrol the areas and do this, that, and the other. And that may be a solution. But as the council, it's going to be on you to create very clear expectations within the legal authority that you're granted, and then translate that into whatever security company comes in. And I would recommend you have someone like me that can vet these companies and say, let me see your standards of practice. What's your training? What are your licenses? What kind of insurance do you carry? These are the things that I'm familiar with. And then based on that, if you did want to go the route of physical security, then I could get you a list of people, or I'm sure you've all had people come to you, provide their name. We'll do thorough background checks on them to make sure they meet the expectations that you've laid out. And that way, when you go to hire someone, it's an informed decision. So as far as patrols go, I do have a couple of ideas if you did want to go that route that I would be happy to share with you. But honestly, I could stand here and talk all day about this, so I best better keep it short.
Great. Any other questions or comments from council? None? Thank you very much for coming in tonight. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
my pleasure.
Good presentation. That brings us to number 8 tonight, council, which are the department reports. 8A is the general government report, and I'll go to our CEO, Jason Gadet.
Thank you, Your Worship. General government report for the month of April. Just as a matter as a point of information, I'd like to clarify that council has received several onboarding training over the last few months, and that part of council's onboarding training meeting was completed with the municipal solicitor on various legal matters, including conflict of interest. And this information session was completed as a benefit to all members of council, and all members of the council were in attendance. Other items for projects, we are finalizing project pricing for the water main break on Riverview Avenue. Should hopefully finish that up this week. Personnel, we've hired Amy Carter as administrative assistant, receptionist, and start date of May the 29th. Job posting was placed for the position of fire chief for Eastern Charlotte Fire and Rescue, the combined fire services within Eastern Charlotte. Continue to compile costing for Riverview Avenue water main break, as mentioned earlier, and the Riverview curb repair along Riverview Avenue. There's a lot of curb that's damaged, and the exit 52 culvert extension. Also costing on generator installations for municipal office and Macadavic Place. Staff has been busy with seasonal startups of recreational areas such as the community gardens in St. George and Blacks Arbor, Canal Beach, and the baseball fields in St. George and Blacks Arbor. Renovation phase 1 are now completed with the municipal office at School Street. Some updating and renovations will be completed on the rural fire halls over the coming months. There are 2 ongoing dangerous unsightly premise files, one for St. George, one for Blacks Arbor. Civic numbering, staff has been busy with civic numbering responsibilities for the rural areas. This is something new task for the municipality. These are the former LSDs, as well as repairing and installing signage for private lanes and roads. The Patrick Connors Recreational Complex upgrades are ongoing. Received quotes for the camera system. Blacks Arbor Public Works has been busy with painting and repairing the walkways in the curling club, the old curling club side, and working with contractors on upgrades and repairs to the ice plant. Parks and Rec, the baseball fields, upgrades to the fence crowns in Blacks Arbor and St. George, as well as infield work in St. George was completed. We've also done some leveling of the parking area of Blacks Arbor. Boat docks, repairs and installation was completed at the dock at Canal Beach, and work is ongoing for the dock at the Day Adventure Center. 1st of June opening is on schedule for Canal Beach and the splash pad. Finished work inside of Canal Beach building was pretty much wrapped up here this week. Advised project engineer, we did advise some of the retaining wall. I did mention that last month, and some foreign aggregate on the beach. That sort of subsided as the sand has settled, but we're still waiting a final inspection from our project engineer. Housing development, that's a very busy file. We're working with 3 potential residential developers in St. George, and as well as 2 developments in Blacks Arbor. Working with Synergy and Glenn Hawkins with those files. Continue to work on possible land acquisition files. Any land acquisition files, of course, come back to council for approval. Ongoing work with respect to the water and wastewater. The IBA projects are continuing to ongo, and we should be looking at doing some test wells, hopefully at the end of this month or the start of next month. And that's a general government report.
Great. Thank you, Jason. Question or comment on that report? If not, we'll move on to the building and planning report, and I'll call on Alex Henderson to come forward. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the building and planning report, we had a plan amendment rezoning request for 110 Mount Pleasant Road that is old business but can come back to council and is on the agenda tonight. For the next decision, which is setting the date for a public presentation of a municipal plan amendment. We had a rezoning request for the Blacks Harbor Rural Plan, but it was determined that this was not needed. We had the previous council in Blacks Harbor had done the rezoning, and it adequately covered what the new proposal for that piece of land was. We had also a rezoning request for the Penfield and Beaver Harbor Rural Plan, but that was withdrawn, and instead the applicant has come back for just a temporary use authorization request. It's a fairly minor development for a food truck. And the Planning Committee, PRAC, has 3 files for Eastern Charlotte that will be considered tomorrow evening, 6:30. So anybody can log in going on Zoom and speak to the files before any decisions are made for minor variances and the temporary use request there. At the time of the report, we had 15 building demolition permits, and the construction value was just over $1 million. I just checked on the status, and we're just at $1.3 million in construction value and 18 building permits. And we've also had an increase in zoning letters since the time of this report. So we also have provided the CEO with a dangerous unsightly premises bylaw, which council is considering tonight. And so we have a signed service agreement with council regarding that. So that would come into effect should council go to third reading for that bylaw. And that is also noted on your agenda tonight. So if there's any questions, feel free to ask.
Any questions for Alex? Councilor Dadarakis, you're first.
Hi, Alex. How many permits did Eastern Charlotte get for new residential units?
Okay. Just gonna grab that. I have 8 as of right now.
Okay.
And actually, we also had 1 demolition, so I guess 7 net.
Okay. Okay. And just a follow-up question to that, well, another question after that. We know that there are a lot of lots in Eastern Charlotte, but there's no development. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a fairly broad question. Would you be able to narrow up, like, specifically?
Well, I think I laid it out as simple as possible. I would say, like, why is it that why is no one building houses? That's my question, despite the fact that there are so many lots available.
Yeah, I think it can be difficult to answer that question if we're not looking at a specific piece of ground or the conditions that go into someone considering developing it. I think generally, if we're just looking broadly at the economy, we have rising interest rates, which have, I think, buffeted new development. Money costs more. So we also had seen material prices up and down, and also labor shortages when it comes to construction. So there's a couple things. It's not that there isn't demand. The housing research we did to help support the municipal plan work that we've done really strongly indicated that there is demand for new housing, but there are a number of factors which go against people making the decision to invest, and there's challenges. It's hard work to be a developer, and we work with them every day, and sometimes we can be a challenge because we're trying to apply the codes and everything that we have to apply. So. But we understand it is a need, and that there are lots of factors why people don't choose to develop. But yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, it does. And the last question is, I saw that there was an information session or interactive information session for designing for earthquakes. So my question is, and it was for the seismic areas of southwestern New Brunswick, is Eastern Charlotte included in that?
There's a couple different gradients to it. So we're not in a very, very extreme earthquake zone by any means, but when you get to a certain level of seismic activity, and it's not us who record that, it's the National Research Council of Canada, but when they put in a certain level of activity, then certain parts of code change for how you do things like your sheathing. So instead of putting it vertically, you have to put it horizontally in some cases. Eastern Charlotte, however, is not in the area where you have to make some of those basic construction technique changes. The only thing that affects it would be the western portion of Eastern Charlotte, so largely around the Diggity Wash area. You might have to do some certain things with ICF, above ground ICF foundations. So certain mitigating things to make sure you have good horizontal stability. But we have had increased seismic activity under the St. Croix River fault line, essentially. Or I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's what the mapping comes straight out of the National Research Council of Canada.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions? Councilor Hatt.
Right now, what's the turnaround on I'm not talking a multi-level, multi-unit building, but what would be the expected turnaround on a simple build of a permit being put in and being able to get that through your guys' office right now?
So it depends, and that's a good question. So like you were saying, if it's a multi-residential build, there can be a lot of code factors that we talked about, making sure you have correct fire separations and so on. So having a really good set of design plans, working with the designer really helps, because we have to get that now. I think in the past, building and development offices might not have required very detailed plans, but we can't do that anymore. We have to get detailed design specifications in order to issue building permits, and that's provincial law now. So in the past, it might have been fine to do a sketch and just say, it's I'm good at building, and trust me, kind of thing, and that might have been fine. We can't do that anymore. So we require people to actually specify how they're going to construct. And so the biggest time delay with getting a permit, if you're trying to get a building permit, we can talk about the difference between a building and a development permit. But a building permit where you have to meet code, you need to have your design figured out before you apply. Because if you don't, when we go into our system, when we review it, we say we can't issue this until we get design specifications. So that can add a couple weeks to your permit. We're generally saying about 2 weeks. Give yourself 2 weeks. Everything takes longer than you'd expect when you go into a building project. Permitting, you don't want that to be one of your things to delay. So give yourself 2 weeks to get a permit. But when you get something really simple, or you have everything, you got everything correct right from the get-go, it can be much faster than that. And today we got a permit application. It was very straightforward. It was just a shed. It was in the correct zone, had all the information we needed to make sure it met zoning. We issued it in the same day. So it's possible. But what we would like to say to people is expect it to be about 2 weeks. But first, what you can do to make sure you get it through the system as fast as possible is have really good plans and know what you want to do, and then talk to people who know the code if you're building a structure that has to meet code.
Well, that's a good question, but this is all new to this community on how this works through online and filling forms out. And there was an agreement that there was going to be some type of satellite or a way down here that people could come and fill their forms out, because not everybody has, an easy way to a computer and fill out a bunch of forms. And today, unfortunately, we have to send them to the municipal office, and our municipal staff have to take up the time and try to help them because it's disconnected from our area. And something simple as a shed, to me, shouldn't have to be as long process that it is. But I'd like to see us move towards something that's a little bit easier for the average person of changing a shed out. It's a botting shed, it goes in, the old one comes out kind of deal. Like, it shouldn't be a daunting process for a senior or anybody like that. So
what I say is, with the new permit application is, if you have a cell phone that can connect to the internet, you can apply for a permit. Now, that's not everybody, but if you know somebody has one, you can you can apply just as easy on that than going in somewhere and trying to get a piece of paper and filling out the best you can and not knowing if you did it correct and waiting for someone to review it before you know if you have everything correct. When we do it online, you can get the information you need as you're filling it out. It has information and places to go. So if you need to get a septic disposal approval, the form will tell you that before you click submit. And that's one of those things that, as I said, if you're trying to speed up the turnaround time to get a permit, having all those details really helps. The form really helps in that way. We've had some really good response to it. But if people are having challenges with online, that is something we have to look at. But I'd say that the best way to do that is you can still come to our office. Of course, the problem is that's in St. Stephen and that's not here. But we can set up appointments as well. So if someone just can't make their way down, they're limited in terms of their geographic area, we can absolutely meet people if required. So this is a mobile type of thing, and anybody who has a phone, as I said, that connects to the internet can apply. So it really disperses the sort of geographic, the requirement to have a geographic office, a brick and mortar type of old school type of permit office.
So will you commit to taking appointments through our municipal office and coming down and meeting with the people that would like to build that, might not be as tech savvy as everything's going? Sometimes they just have a simple question on how to do it, and it's becoming daunting to them.
I would say I wouldn't just say we'll do that in every situation, because we also have limited time just as your municipal staff do. So what I would say is we'd have to look at that. I'd say I'd do that in a situation where someone has genuine limitations in terms of technology or mobility, and we will make it happen. We will work with people to get them what they need. But if it's just a matter of trying to work with the form and you have the technology to do it, what we say on the form is contact us and we'll walk you through the form. We do that every day. So we help people. Here's what you do next. This is the screen you're looking at. This is what you need to submit. So call us and we'll walk you through it as you're doing it. And it's not as daunting as it might sound.
Any other questions from council tonight? Thank you very much for coming in tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
That moves us on to the fire report, and I'll call on Councillor Thompson to give the fire report tonight.
In April, the Eastern Charlotte Fire Rescue was dispatched to 88 calls. There's a big thank you for volunteers. This is a huge commitment with that number of calls coming in 30 days. I'd like to thank Andrea Mason for funding going towards the upgrades of our halls for accessibility. And the fire chief posting is closing on November the 19th. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Any questions for Councillor Thompson on that report tonight? If not, we'll move on to Councillor McQuarrie for the Public Works report tonight.
Thank you. For Blacks Harbor, the wastewater treatment and regular water testing is ongoing, and they've all been within the limits. The arena is still undergoing maintenance for overhauling the compressor, and they're doing some painting down there and installing doors. Inventory for 2022 has been completed. Cold mix asphalt for potholes on the street is ongoing. The ball field has been prepped for the season. The community garden water has been turned back on, and the shed has been repaired because of the winter high wind damages. Park benches, picnic tables, garbage boxes have been put back in designated areas. Garbage truck and service trucks have had, the garbage truck had a windshield replaced and regular maintenance done on it. And for St. George, winter snow removal equipment was stored away for the season, and minor repairs were done to a few pieces. They've got some broken signposts that needed to be replaced in town and in the Back Bay area. A couple sets of gates were made to block off unwanted traffic at one of the lift stations and at one entrance to the north side of the river walking trail. Garbage receptacles were back in place on Main Street, and the Day Adventure buildings were prepared for seasonal use. Cemetery Road was opened up for the season. Demolition of a house on Brunswick Street over by the bridge has been completed. Repairing places that plows had damaged over the winter. Vagrant camp was cleaned up behind well 4 off Meadow Road. Floating dock for the canal is being repaired. And what else we got here? Too many papers. You already know about the river review repair job being done. Both foremans, Ron and Rick, went to the St. John lab for a training session on the use of a turbidity meter, which is to help keep better control of water condition issues. The 2 final pumps have arrived for installation at pump number 8 and number 11. There's been an ongoing issue with foam out by Cook's at Solar Court there, and solutions being sought there. Lab sampling done on discharged water from the True North Water Waste Treatment Plant has been showing higher than normal counts in the biochemical oxygen demand, and we are currently waiting on True North Maintenance and their chemical supplier to find a solution to this problem. And that's it.
Thank you, Councillor McQuarrie. Any questions for Councillor McQuarrie? Councillor Dederakis, you're first.
Thank you, Councillor McQuarrie. I'm not sure if this is a question for you or if this is a question for our CAO, but I had some questions from community members about whether or not there will be any garbage cans along the new paved route in St. George. Is there a plan for that?
There is a plan for some garbage cans. I think we're probably not as many as we probably would need. So we are trying to gather some more garbage cans. That and probably the added need of Canal Beach now with a canteen that's working too. So lots of garbage cans needs. So we'll also be installing a bench on the walking trail as well this year. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, no other questions for Councillor McQuarrie, and we'll move along to committee reports and any committee. Councillor Hatt, would you like to go first?
Yes, thank you, Worship. Just a couple things to follow up on our CAO's report. So like I said, there has been some major improvements with the ball fields. The outfield out here will have repairs when it's drier. It's been, still pretty wet in the outfield here, but the infield has been completely took out and redone. One thing you did touch on was about the webcam, and I just kind of want to give a pause on that for a second. We had an organized group raise money for a webcam last year in coming out of COVID-19. And, we appreciate the raising of money for the webcam. Nowhere did we think that we were going to be into this long of trying to get a webcam up and running. So the webcam, we have now reached out to the group that we're going to look at using for it. Internet. The facility's never had a large access Wi-Fi, so that's had to be put in. And we also need a cyber secure login through a portal so people can log into that webcam. So it hasn't gone forgotten, and the money hasn't gone missing. It's still there and going to be used for it. It's just I want to make sure that the public knew that it is moving forward. It's just took a lot longer than we ever expected. We've had some committee meetings to discuss around Charlotte United Soccer Club and trying to come up with an agreement with school and, some maintenance on them fields and how that's going to look going forward. One thing that we are going to try to do, and we talked about it this week at a committee level, was we'd like to roll out an expo. So before the end of June, and we'll release the date, that anybody that has anything to offer in Eastern Charlotte as a recreation program, we'd like to invite everybody to come here and put a little booth in and the public will be open. You can come in, you know, whether it's your kids or yourself, anything that's for recreation based that we'd be able to sign up for, get information about. So stay tuned, that will be coming. That's going to be a big initiative before summer rolls around. And Your Worship, the rest of it, I think I'll wait to councillors' concerns. So.
Great, thank you. Councillor Thompson, did you have anything tonight to report? No, good, thank you. If not, nobody else has any, we'll move along to financials. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Councillor Lee, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a summary of the costs for the expenditures for the month of April. General government and administration costs were $41,204.92. Public works for St. George and Blacks Harbor, $115,809.93. All 5 fire departments combined, $63,583.32. It's a busy time for them with the grass fire season, so that brought some of that cost up. All our small costs combined was another $59,521.11. Regional Service Commission, $37,069.50. This is a monthly cost, so this is everything from the month of April, for a total of $317,188.78. We do have quarterly expenses too. I don't have what the first quarter was on that. That would be costs, shared costs for the minister of the province and stuff like that. But we're at 317 right now for April. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lee, appreciate it. Just to let the audience know, the Councillor Hatt's the Recreation Chair, that's why he gave his report, and Councillor Lee is the Financial Chair, so I want to thank you guys for giving your report tonight. That brings us to 9, financial statement. Is there anything the CEO would like to add?
Thank you, Your Worship. So yet again, we're still waiting on the full merger of the accounting systems with TownSuite. We've paid all the bills. We've in regards to the TownSuite merger, we paid our annual licensing fee as well, and now we're just waiting for them to actually put the manpower to it. So I know the treasurer has been I guess to the point of pestering TownSuite to get this rolling. I know it's been certainly an urgent matter for council to get these the monthly statements. So we are working on that. As of right now, our hands are tied when it comes to TownSuite. I have a deadline set for the end of this week. If we don't hear anything or we don't have some solid dates of when this is going to be completed by, we'll be reaching out to the CEO of TownSuite. So I know with Councillor Lee has been getting some details. We can certainly share those. I'll get the treasurer tomorrow to share those with all of council and ensure that there's some details there. As of right now, everything just looks like it's coming in. It's not assigned to any type of general ledger accounts. So it is it's a bit of a confusion if you were to look at it, just a regular financial statement. But so I've been working diligently through that, as well as working to appease the account auditors when they do show up here as well at the end of the month. So that's all I have.
Great. Any questions or comments on that? If not, we'll move along to old business. And 10A is the date for public presentation for Mount Pleasant property. It's the PID number of that is 15188-352, owned by Charles Avery. Look for a council for a motion tonight to set a public presentation. Councillor Lee.
I move to schedule a public presentation of Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission for Mount Pleasant property, PID number 15188-352, C. Avery, on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023, at 6:30 p.m. at MacDavid Place Community Center.
We have a motion on the floor by Councillor Lee, seconded by Councillor Tidd. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. 10B is the Eastern Charlotte Waterways Partnership Agreement with the electric vehicle charging station. There's a motion. Anybody like to make a motion on that? Councillor Dadarakis.
I move that the electric vehicle charging station to be received in partnership with ECW and NB Power be installed at the Macadavic Place parking lot, and that the amount of $14,000 be used from the St. George Capital Project funds for the municipal portion of the funding.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilor Dederak, seconded by Councilor Lee. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. 11, new business. 11A, street lights in Back Bay, New Brunswick. Councilor Thompson, would you like to take the lead on that?
I move that council approve the acquisition of 11 streetlights to be installed by NB Power on the NB Power poles located in the community of Back Bay.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilor Thompson, seconded by Councilor, our Deputy Mayor, sorry. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Moves us on to lighting install for the Patrick Connors Recreational Complex. We need a motion to get somebody to do that. Councilor Hatt.
I move that we award the RFQ 2023-02 lighting install at the Patrick Connors Recreation Complex to the lowest submission received by Frost Electrical for $13,155.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilor Hatt, seconded by Councilor Dagarakis. Question or comment on the motion? I'm going to go CEO. You have a comment?
Just so that residents are aware that this is for the tendering of light installations for the former curling club to bring those up to an LED, and we did put out invites with that tender request, and there was 2 submissions that were received.
Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Okay. That brings us to, this is my favorite one, 11C. Bylaw number EC-05, dangerous and unsightly premises.
I can read through it. Let me just give some
Yeah,
points on that.
our CEO is going to give a little background on this before we take a motion on this.
Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw EC-05 is dangerous unsightly. So this bylaw will replace the dangerous unsightly bylaw for both Black's Harbor and St. George, and this bylaw will be give authority for enforcement throughout all of eastern Charlotte.
So at this point, I'll entertain a motion from council for a first reading. I'm going to have Councilor Tidd. Seconded by Councilor Thompson. Okay, your motion was for first reading. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You go ahead and make it.
No problem. I move that council accept the first reading by title only of bylaw EC-05, dangerous and unsightly premises.
And Councilor Thompson is good with that. Good. Any questions or comments on that motion? All those in favor of a first reading by title only of bylaw number EC-05, dangerous and unsightly premises, signify by saying aye. Contrary, that's passed unanimously. Council, you have the option tonight to do a second reading of the bylaw. Would somebody like to make a motion for that tonight? Councilor Tidd?
I move that council accept the second reading in its entirety of bylaw EC-05, dangerous and unsightly premises.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilor Tidd, seconded by Councilor Lee, sorry. And at this point, I'm going to take the question or comment on it, and our CEO is going to give a couple comments on this.
Thank you, Worship. So by its entirety, EC-05, dangerous unsightly premises, the entirety of the draft bylaw will be available online at easterncharlotte.ca, as well as paper copies at the municipal office.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Councilor McKay, you're next.
I'm just reading part of the bylaw, and it says, any accumulation of wood shavings, paper, sawdust, or other residue of production of construction. How does this apply to sawmills?
So sawmills are permitted use on that property. So
Okay.
they would not, they would be a permitted use. Yeah.
Okay.
And just so that it's clear for council too, that this bylaw is actually taken word for word out of the Local Governance Act. We just take that section out and use it as our bylaw. We don't add anything to it. We don't give any more authority to it. We cannot over-trump the provincial act. So, but however, that will be the act that will be the bylaw that we'll be enforcing under.
Any other questions or comments from council? If not, all those in favor of the second reading in its entirety of bylaw number EC-05, dangerous and unsightly premises, signify by saying aye. Contrary? And that's passed. Okay, you're not being contrary. Okay, that was unanimous and that's passed. And that's the second reading. I declare that the second reading of bylaw number EC-05, dangerous and unsightly premises for Eastern Charlotte. Now, council, the next, what we have to do to keep this all legal is 11C3. We have to set a date for a public hearing. So if people want to be able to come in and voice their opinions or have questions on the bylaw EC-05 before we do a third reading, you have to set a public hearing. So I'll entertain a motion from council for that. Councilor McKay?
I move to schedule a public hearing of objections of bylaw EC-05, dangerous and unsightly premises, on Tuesday, June 6th at 6:30 p.m. at Macadavic Place Community Center.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilor McKay to set the public hearing of objections on Tuesday, June 6th at 6:30 p.m. at Macadavic Place. We have a seconder for that. Councilor Lee? Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, that's passed unanimously. That brings us to 11D, bylaw. I'm making sure I get everything. Did we get all the new stuff? We didn't do this one, did we? We'll do that later. Just want to make sure I didn't forget that one. We'll continue on. Yeah, we'll do that at the very end, okay? I'm talking to myself here, folks. 11D, bylaw number EC-06. This is the all-terrain vehicles on Main Street bylaw, and we need a first reading by title only of bylaw number EC-06, all-terrain vehicles on Main Street. So I'm going to go to the CEO to give some background on this before we entertain a motion.
Thank you, Worship. So draft bylaw for EC-06, all-terrain vehicles on Main Street. So that was bylaw that was drafted from the proposal from Quad New Brunswick and has a set route through the community of St. George. And so that is up for first reading.
Great. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion. Councillor Hatt?
I move that council accept the first reading in its entirety of bylaw EC-06, all-terrain vehicles on Main Street.
We have a motion on the floor by Councillor Hatt to accept the first reading. Would there be a seconder for that? Councillor Thompson. Question or comment on that motion? None? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that's passed unanimously. I declare that the first reading of bylaw number EC-06, the all-terrain vehicles on Main Street bylaw. At this point, council, you have the option of doing a second reading. What would council like to do? Councillor Hatt, would you like to?
I will move that council accept the second reading in its entirety of the bylaw EC-06, all-terrain vehicles on Main Street.
We have a motion on the floor by Councillor Hatt for a second reading of bylaw number EC-06, all-terrain vehicles on Main Street. Do we have a seconder for that motion? And Councillor Thompson, you are the one. And at this point, for question or comment, I'm going to go to the CEO.
Thank you, Worship. So EC-06, all-terrain vehicles on Main Street. The entirety will be available at easterncharlotte.ca, and paper copies available at the Municipal Hall for residents.
Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of a second reading of bylaw number EC-06, all-terrain vehicles on Main Street, signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. So, council, at this point, to keep it all legal, we have to set up a night for a public hearing for bylaw number EC-06, the all-terrain vehicles on Main Street. What is council's pleasure on that? Councilor Hatt, I'll let you go over that.
I move to schedule a public hearing of objections on bylaw EC-06, all-terrain vehicles on Main Street, on Tuesday, June 6th at 6:30 PM at this building here.
We have a motion on the floor to set the public hearing of objections of bylaw number EC-06, all-terrain vehicles on Main Street for Tuesday, June 6th at 6:30 in this building. Will there be a seconder for that? We have Councilor Tidd. Question or comment on this motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Well, we're plugging right along here, folks. Resolution, age-friendly community approach. I need a motion on the floor for to set our resolution. Councilor Tidd.
I move that council accept the resolution provided for age-friendly community.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilor Tidd. Do we have a seconder for that? Councilor Lee. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Yeah, it's passed unanimously. I'll read that resolution now. Resolution is age-friendly community approach, Eastern Charlotte. Whereas Eastern Charlotte has realized the importance of providing our seniors with a good quality of life as they age. Whereas Eastern Charlotte recognizes that healthy aging is a lifelong experience that occurs in a supportive, age-friendly community. Whereas Eastern Charlotte respects and recognizes the value of older citizens can play in society. Whereas Eastern Charlotte seeks to engage citizens in making our community a better place for seniors to live, stay socially and physically active, feel safe, and be engaged in community life. Whereas Eastern Charlotte would like to build on the momentum of the global movement of age-friendly communities, initiated originally by the World Health Organization as an approach to meet the needs of an aging population. Whereas the age-friendly approach to community planning is compatible with and support our efforts and vision for a fully inclusive community. Be it resolved that on the 17th day of May, 2023, Eastern Charlotte is committed to the age-friendly approach and will participate, support, promote, and work to implement age-friendly initiatives to improve our age friendliness. Okay, folks, that brings us to the one that we added tonight, the item tonight, is exit 56. And Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on that?
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Mayor. This council seeing a need for economic and business growth in Eastern Charlotte and knowing the logical location will be at or near exit 56, I propose the following. I move that our CAO engages our engineers to prepare a study and report the cost of providing water and sewage to the area at or near exit 56.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a seconder, Councilor Tidd? Question or comment on the motion? All those in, no questions or comments on this motion? None? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that is passed unanimously. Good. That brings us to correspondence, and the first one is from the Hub. Your Worship, my apologies for the late resending of this email. You had mentioned at the grand opening that not all of my initial email loaded. I'll just jump to the crunch here. I have attached a newsletter to fill you in on all the Hub happenings, and we are very excited. The Hub is constantly searching for funding opportunities and is very grateful for grants, donations that have provided us with startup costs. We have lots of services being offered and are in need of funds to continue the great work we have started. Startup funds for the free community meals would be the most valuable at this time, but I've included all of our priorities. We currently have 4 key funding priorities that we are seeking support for. Number 1 is the community meals. Items needed with startup food costs, takeout containers, kitchen supplies. Number 2, young men living with autism social nights. Funds for field trips, TV gaming systems, funds to purchase supper meals. Number 3 is community training room. Items needed is a boardroom table, chairs, a coat rack, a water cooler, and 360 meeting camera. Number 4, internet cafe. Espresso machine is needed, the countertops, plumbing, paper, ink, and rugs. We've been working very hard at making a difference in our community, and our hope is that the hub is a valuable resource for the people of Eastern Charlotte. We look forward to adding more services and always welcome input, suggestions, or grant ideas. We are always grateful to any financial assistance available in our community and are requesting anything at all. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. Michelle DeVue, Employment Counselor, Working Stronger Together. And Council, is there anything you would like to do with that tonight? Councilor Lee.
I move that the letter from the hub be referred to the Finance Committee for review and recommendation.
We have a motion on the floor from Councilor Lee. Do we have we got all kinds of seconders. Councilor Dagrak, you're the first one I saw. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that's passed unanimously. Dragonfly Center for Autism, summer day camp at for 2023. The Dragonfly Center for Autism is a non-for-profit registered charity serving families living and affected by autism with Charlotte County and the Isles. From September to June, we offer support and guidance to local families and facilitate support groups, educational materials, activities, and resources. During the summer, we offer a unique day camp experience for our clients who range in an age from 5 to young adults. We receive a small yearly governmental grant to run our office and to hire a part-time administrative staff person. We rely heavily on fundraising, grants, and donations to maintain our summer camp programs. Our summer day camps are week-long programs designed for specific age levels. The needs of each camper receive special focus within our unique low-ratio setting, including one-on-one camper to personal assistant when needed. Within the camp experience, we offer music, art, animal, and movement therapies, all within a safe and gentle environment where children can interact and socialize with their peers. We also offer daily excursions and field trips to local venues. Monies raised in our local community stay within Charlotte County and help cover the costs of registration for campers, resource materials, camp supplies, hiring staff, and running programs. Many of our campers have assistance through social development to help cover the cost of camp, but there are also children who have no support and depend on the kindness of donations or scholarships to attend a week at this camp. We are asking if you would consider making a small donation to help our summer camp program. Many children in Charlotte County are disadvantaged in some way, but those with disabilities can be left out completely and need the generosity of heroes like you. Please consider helping a special child have a great summer. Thank you from Carla Brown, Executive Director of Dragonfly Center for Autism in St. Andrews. Would somebody like to make a motion on that tonight? Councilor Lee.
I move that the letter from Dragonfly Center for Autism be referred to the Finance Committee for review and recommendation.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilor Lee, second by Councilor Dederakis. Question or comment on the motion? Councilor Lee, you're first.
Just to comment on that,
Yep.
I mean, we're not saying we have to think a lot about some of these donations, but we also like to take them to the committee and have everybody take a look at them and decide how much are is the right fit for it. So that's why you probably won't see too many donations being brought forth at a council meeting. The first time around, it'll usually go to the Finance Committee and then back to a council meeting, just to explain why we're doing that. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Councilor Lee. Any other questions or comments on that motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. And that's passed unanimously. And that's it. Am I missing anything? That brings us to the public presentation appearances. Please note, under bylaw number EC-01, section 7.1, members of the public shall be entitled to address council for 5 minutes with no debate from council on matters of municipal jurisdiction. And just remember, folks, that this is not a question and answer. This is your opportunity to be able to say something to the council. And before you speak, I'll ask that you give your name and your civic address.
My name is Dale Wells. I live in Beaver Harbor. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak here this evening. The last time I was in and spoke, I made it very clear that I was volunteering with CHCO, and any words I had to say were in no way associated with CHCO. As many of you know, I'd normally be with CHCO this evening, volunteering as a camera person. My passion has been to contribute to my community, volunteering in this way, not only to strengthen our community, but also to set a positive example to our youth, hopefully encouraging them to unselfishly give of themselves. However, it was respectfully requested by CHCO that I not be behind the camera this evening. Please allow me to explain. I wish to say that from this day forward, I am considering withdrawing all of my volunteering services in all capacities in our community, because some council members have decided to take that privilege away from the people of Eastern Charlotte by way of taking it upon themselves, without the knowledge of the mayor, in writing letters to CHCO expressing strong displeasure with words that I've spoken. Again, I'm a volunteer with CHCO. I kind of wonder if, I can't help but wonder if maybe if I was employed by Connors Brothers or maybe Cook Aquaculture, if they would have written a letter to them, try to quiet me up. I don't know. I think what the council members have done, I feel, is very disrespectful, unprofessional, and cowardly, to say the least. I'm appalled to see the council members take council issues not only outside of our council, but outside of the community of Eastern Charlotte. If any council member does not have Eastern Charlotte's best interest in mind to serve with integrity, credibility, and transparency, then I believe that council member should not be in that seat. I want to remind you that you are there not for your own self-interest, but to serve the people of Eastern Charlotte. I wish to inform council that if I no longer am volunteering, I will have more time to focus on actions of the council to hold them accountable to us, the taxpayers of Eastern Charlotte. I believe there's nothing you could possibly say to justify your actions. Nothing. In closing, I want to say that we're very blessed to have CHCO here with us, always keeping us informed of all activities within our community. We're truly blessed to have you. And I personally thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other persons? Again, I just need your name and your civic address.
I'm sorry, I live at 7 Pancake Hill, St. George, and I would just like to follow up on what Dale said, because I shared his concerns that were expressed at the last meeting, and before making his comments, he made it very, very clear. He was not speaking on behalf of CHCO, where he's a volunteer, but as a resident and taxpayer of Eastern Charlotte, which he has every right to do. And I was shocked to learn that since that meeting, some councillors had contacted CHCO regarding his comments. And as you see, he's not behind the camera tonight, and he just explained that to you. This council's only been in office for 5 months, and there will be times when you face criticism. Mr. Wells expressed his very real concerns and should not be chastised for that. CHCO should not have been brought into this, and now it looks like they have lost a very dedicated volunteer in Mr. Wells. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other persons would like to come up? Oops. Again, I remind you that I need your name and your civic address. Thank you.
Nancy Colton, Hillcrest Subdivision, St. George. And you probably all know me. When you choose to run for a political office, you open yourself up to criticism from those you serve. Those same residents have the right to voice their opinions or concerns without fear of reprisal. Unfortunately, this was not the case for Mr. Wells when he voiced his opinion at last council meeting, which he had every right to do as a taxpayer and resident of this municipality. He also stated at the beginning of his speech that the opinions expressed were his and his alone, and affiliated with no one else. I am disappointed to find out that this speech did come with repercussions. I've been there, done that, and wore the T-shirt. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other persons like to come to the podium? If not, that brings us to number 14, which is statements by members of council. I'll go first tonight. Forest fires within the new amalgamated areas of the province are still being covered financially by the province, and local fire departments are urged to contact DNR as soon as possible when that call comes in. On Sunday, the May 7th, I attended Kai's World Fundraiser Carnival in Back Bay. I met with Kaylin Hatt and Dexter, her horse, and congratulated them as they were chosen to compete in Perry, Georgia for the National Barrel Horse Association Youth and Teen World Championships at the end of July. To say Eastern Charlotte is proud of Kaylin Hatt would be an understatement. On Tuesday, May the 9th, I attended the St. Stephen Education Center 2023 Inspire Awards dinner. The Inspire Awards are to recognize students from Charlotte County schools who have shown perseverance, commitment, and effort in turning around their lives. This initiative further enhances the work being done in the schools to promote a positive and safe learning environment for students, a priority of the District Education Council. Through a celebration of the positive efforts of students, the award models the importance of determination and persistence. Congratulations to the Fundy Award winners, Gracie Golding, grade 8, and Dominic Camo, grade 12, for being recognized as positive change leaders at Fundy. Your community of Eastern Charlotte is very proud of the two of you. I would remind council that tomorrow evening in Blacks Harbor at the arena is the Bicycle Safety Rodeo. This begins at 6 p.m. and goes to approximately 7:30. This is being put on by the municipality of Eastern Charlotte and the RCMP and the YMCA. This coming Sunday, I will be a ceremonial reviewing officer at the annual ceremonial review of the Eastern Charlotte Army Cadets Corps Unit 2531 at the Legion here in St. George. Now, this year, there are 30 cadets and 6 staff. Now, that's interesting because, and very remarkable, since last year there were only 8 cadets and 4 staff. So the cadets have grown a lot just this past year. And this year marks 42 years of celebration of this cadet corps. Today, I did get a letter from Chris Austin, and I'd like to read this letter because I'd like to put it in the public forum so you can't go back on it. As we got a letter from Chris Austin today, as we continue discussions with Public Safety Canada, we would like to provide you with an update on the retroactive pay for RCMP members under the provincial police services in New Brunswick. The federal government's decision to download the costs of retroactive payment to contract partners is disappointing. Local and provincial governments that uses the RCMP policing services were not at the negotiating table and did not have a say. We believe that Public Safety Canada should fund this liability or much of it. Therefore, this Department of Public Safety will be disputing this decision under the terms of the Provincial Police Service Agreement. The department has assessed the financial implication of this decision And if the dispute proves to be unsuccessful and an invoice must be paid, we will be absorbing the shortfalls of the retroactive payments, and no further costs related to this issue will be billed back to the local governments policed under the PPSA. We will commit to keep you informed of any further developments on this issue. Sincerely, Chris Austin, Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General of New Brunswick. So that was a good letter with good news today for all the municipalities of New Brunswick. I'll go to my deputy mayor at this point.
Thank you, your mayor. I'd just like to thank everybody for coming. It's kind of amazing tonight, the people that are here, and hope in some small way we're meeting your expectations.
Councillor Thompson, you're next. Councillor Hatt.
Yeah, so got some things that are going on in the community. First, I want to say thanks to everyone for coming this evening. And as our deputy mayor said, hopefully that feel that we are doing a good job. First off, I want to give my regrets for missing the last council meeting. I had some prior commitments that's been going on for a year that I had to finish up by getting ready for an exam. So anyway, I apologize for missing that council meeting. So as our mayor mentioned, Eastern Charlotte has partnered with Lisa Williams, the community program officer with the RCMP and the YMCA of Eastern Charlotte, for an event for every bicycle rider. Tomorrow evening, May 18th, from 6 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. is our bicycle safety rodeo. This isn't just a Black Arbor thing. We're all in this together. It's the Eastern Charlotte thing. It will be held at the arena in Black Arbor, Patrick Connors Recreation Complex. That way, if it rains, then we'll be able to have it indoors. The only thing that you need to do is bring your bicycle, bring your helmet, appropriate footwear, and a parent or guardian for those who are under 12. Jeff Slater will be on site again this year, doing bicycle repairs and kind of giving a 101 to bicycle repairs with the kids. It was a great success last year, and a lot of kids enjoyed that. So we've asked him to come back and to be that special guest with that. As we've talked, the improvements underway at the arena with fresh paint, flooring, signage, repairs and upgrades to the ice plant. Everything is slowly, checking the boxes and getting it ready. The multi-purpose floor has been ordered for the curling club side, so that'll be a multi-sports, multi-use flooring. The new score clock is here now, and it's ready to be installed, so that'll be going up shortly. Baseball's beginning in Eastern Charlotte. As we've said, we've made some improvements with the fields, and they'll be ongoing. If you're looking at booking a field or a tournament, please reach out to the municipal office, and the staff will be happy to help you. So if you want to borrow or use a field for a ball game or tournament, just please reach out. June 3rd, Eastern Charlotte wide yard sale will happen. If you'd like to be added to the location list, there is a contact form on Eastern Charlotte website, or contact the municipal office and they'll help you out with that. The summer concert series at the Macadavid will begin Thursday, July 16th. A list of dates and performers have been published. It's on the Facebook page, or you can contact the municipal office and staff will make sure that you get a hard copy or email you a copy. Eastern Charlotte will be coordinating 2 festivals this summer. And that is through the municipality side of Eastern Charlotte. The first one being Summerfest, which will be held on starting Thursday, July 20th, and run through to Sunday, July 23rd, and Fog Festival, which will be held September 1st to September 3rd. You'll see more information about these festivals, and as the planning gets closer and to the date, their events in the coming days will be posted on the Parks and Recreation page. And once again, if you want any information for it and you want a hard copy, you can just come to the municipal office. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach out to me, myself, as far as any recreation events, or you can reach out to anyone on council or the office staff at the municipal office. And thank you for coming.
Thank you, Councillor Hatt. Councillor Delegations.
I don't think there's anyone on council that doesn't deny the challenges that have emerged since the amalgamation. There are definitely a lot of positive developments as well. But council's going into 6 months without a financial report, without a basic overview of what the taxpayers' dollars are actually going to. And it's just not a good business practice. But I'm really appreciative of the CAO and the treasurer for continuously reaching out to Town Suite, and I hope that that situation will be rectified as soon as possible. Hold on a second. So regarding the issues that have just been brought up regarding the conduct of certain council members, sorry, I'll really repeat that again. Regarding the issues that have been brought up regarding the conduct of certain members of the public and their position within the community, we don't ask for any concessions here as councilors. We want to remain civil. However, threatening councilors or sending harassing messages are not appropriate in any instance. I'm hard-pressed to think of any situation where such behavior would be rewarded in 2023.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that Councilor Delegations? Okay. Councilor McQuarrie. Councilor Tidd. Councilor Lee. And Councilor McKay.
I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. It's great to see so many lovely faces. Faith and Mark, you did an awesome job tonight. And also on the comments that have been made concerning council, I will not ever defend myself. When I lay my head down at night, I go sound asleep. My conscience is clear on how I conduct myself as a council member, as I am sure every one of these council members are the same way. I have not ever worked with a greater group of people. As far as reaching out to CHCO, public needs to know that that had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with last month's meeting. Nothing. So just so that the public knows that, it was a completely different issue altogether. It was a private message. Just so everybody is aware of that. I will stand in defense of every one of these council members on this board. They're amazing people, and it's a battlefield I'm willing to die on. Thank you very much.
Okay, that brings us to 15, which is the date and location of the next meeting. That is June the 21st, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Macadavic Place right here. And I'll look for a motion for adjournment tonight, Ken. Thank you, Councilor Hatt. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, folks, for coming out.